Welcome back to the channel, everybody. If you are new here, I'm Brenda and I like to film vlogs about lifestyle. So if you're into that kind of thing, please support the channel by clicking subscribe. Please don't forget to like this video, comment, and share. And welcome back to another Vlogmas episode. So for today's episode, I'm going to be bringing y'all to the kitchen. So we are going to be cooking a cozy, delicious dinner. I'm going to show you how I cook a good old grilled chicken on the cast iron skillet, and we're also going to roast some broccoli and sweet potato, and we're just gonna have a really healthy dinner. So with that being said, let's get into the video. As mentioned, we're gonna be cooking a grilled chicken on our cast iron. So one of the first things that I like to do whenever I cook dinner is think about the timing. So I used to not do this, and maybe this is such basic advice, but what I do is I think of a plate. So tonight I really want to roast broccoli, roast a potato yam, and I want to cook white rice and grill some chicken. And from all of those things, roasting the broccoli will take the longest because it's frozen and it takes longer to roast in the oven. And I'm talking maybe between 30 to 45 minutes. So we really like our broccoli super roasted. So I'm going to start with preheating the oven to 425. 425 is usually the sweet spot for roasting potatoes and broccoli. So that's why I'm going to do that, and it'll take 10 minutes to preheat. So in that meantime, I usually take out my pans or the pots or whatever it is that I'm going to be using. In this case, I took out my cast iron skillet or pan or whatever that I'm going to be using, and then my pot for the rice and the baking sheet for the broccoli and the yam. I have two of them out. And so now that that's going to preheat and I have my supplies out, I am going to start placing the broccoli on the sheet, making sure that's ready to go, and I'm going to start boiling water for the rice. The rice takes about 20 minutes to cook, so it's fine if it's done before everything else. The oven area here, this area tends to stay warm anyway, so I can always just leave the rice out until ready to serve. But that's what I like to do. So first I like to focus on getting the broccoli in the oven, then going with the rice, and the broccoli, the potato, the rice, and then we're gonna cook the chicken. The chicken breast is really easy to cook. It's already defrosted, and I'm going to cut the chicken breast in half so that it cooks faster. So the chicken is going to cook really fast. It's the vegetables that are going to take long. So with that being said, let's prep the broccoli, let's prep the yam. I usually like to cut the ends of this area because I don't want it to burn in the oven, or I just don't want it to cause like a pool, and then it'll steam the broccoli instead of roasting it. So it's optional to put the parchment paper, but if your baking sheet is a non-stick, then it should be fine. But I just, for cleaning purposes, I would rather just line the baking sheet with parchment paper. And the broccoli is frozen, so I'm gonna go grab that from the freezer. Good old organic broccoli here. Open this up, and what I do first is because it's frozen, I don't want to add any olive oil or anything because I don't want the water and the oil to be it's gonna make a mess in the oven. So what I do, I just let the broccoli roast first with like the frozenness, water, whatever, and then around the 30-minute mark is when I start adding the olive oil and I start salting it, and then during like the last 8 minutes I add the black pepper. All right, I'm gonna set this aside on the stovetop. So the thing is, my husband does not like yams, and honestly, I'm not going to cook a yam if I know that he's not gonna eat it, or multiple yams. So this one is actually just for me. So I'm just gonna go ahead and peel it. And it's not organic, I don't think it is. So I'm definitely gonna have to like peel it for sure. Go ahead and do that. The oven is ready for the broccoli, and since I mentioned that the frozen broccoli takes forever to roast, I don't mind getting a head start with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop this in the oven on the bottom because I really like crispy roasted broccoli. And then now we're gonna go back to our yam. I've got my yam peeled, and we're going to dice this up in small cubes. That way it'll roast faster. I've learned the hard way. I would prefer thicker chunks of it, but as mentioned, it will take forever to roast. So I just like to maybe dice them in this size, maybe even smaller, but I think it should be fine. And I like to do salt and smoked paprika and olive oil is what I like to do, and black pepper as well. Now I'm gonna start with a teaspoon. I like to start off with teaspoons. So let me bring out the black pepper. So we're gonna start off with the salt, and I'm gonna go ahead and do about half a teaspoon. I like to bring out either the half or the 1 teaspoon to measure out. So I'm gonna do about half a teaspoon of salt. And I can eyeball it, so I'm pretty familiar with measurements. If I have like a guide of like a teaspoon, I can eyeball a half a teaspoon in here. And then I like to sprinkle some paprika, but I don't have my little sprinkly thing, so I'm just gonna go ahead and grab about half a teaspoon as well of paprika. This is smoked paprika. If you haven't tried roasting your yams with smoked paprika, I totally recommend it. It is delicious. I learned this from a vegan blogger by the name of Caitlin Shoemaker. Love her blogs. They're so helpful. It's helped me a lot with my cooking journey, so recommend her channel. And I go ahead and do black pepper, about a sprinkle. And yeah, these are all ingredients that my husband does not like. He does not like yams, and he does not like smoked paprika like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and do not a tablespoon, I'll do 2 teaspoons of olive oil. So I'm gonna drizzle it across like this, just to kind of help me out with when I have to massage it with my hand. I really don't want to use my hand. Maybe I'll use, nope, I'm gonna have to use the hand because you'll get a more accurate seasoning. So there you go. I'm gonna go ahead and massage this. Can't wait to have this with my chicken. And I did 2 teaspoons. I really don't want to do the 3rd teaspoon, because then that'll equal a whole tablespoon of olive oil, because if I do end up eating this entire thing, essentially I'll be eating 1 tablespoon of olive oil, which is a lot for, you know, it doesn't sound like it would be healthy, but sometimes the sweet potato does dry out in the oven. I could use water, but then it can take it to the direction of steaming it, and that's not what I want. I want a roasted yam. So I mean, I might have to add that last teaspoon, but I'm gonna save that till like the end, towards like maybe like the last 10-12 minutes. So another thing that I like to do with my yam is add cornstarch. You're probably wondering why. I learned this trick from a YouTube video. I don't even know which one, but I just like to sprinkle a little bit. It helps it get crispy from the outside. That way it's soft from the inside. So it'll give kind of like sweet potato fries. And I use cornstarch for that. Right now I used a generous amount, but you don't have to use that much. You could just use a little bit. And this is gonna make the yam crispy from the outside and delicious. Okay, so this is ready to go into the oven. So let's open my, whoa, broccoli, behave. It's making some noises over there, like it's gonna pop at me. And then we're gonna put the yam in the oven. And you guys don't know how many times I've burned myself from doing this. Like, ugh, bad habit. Use your means, everybody. While the potatoes and the broccoli is in the oven, now I'm going to set the timer. Because again, I told y'all that I wanted the broccoli to just get a head start by itself. So I'm going to start the timer right now at 30 minutes. And I'm gonna be checking it. And I'm gonna leave the oven light on because I don't wanna forget to peek in here. I like to, and also it looks kind of cool when you're cooking and the oven is on. Okay, so then now that that's taken care of, I'm gonna go ahead and get started with the rice. And usually I get the rice going while I'm doing all of that, but because I was filming and I had to get the angles, I didn't get it. So I got the pot going. Let's go ahead and get the rice in there. My husband loves white rice and he likes the jasmine kind. And I personally do not. It's good, but with my health journey, I would rather eat brown rice. So I'm only cooking a stash for him. So with that being said, I'm only going to cook 1 cup of white rice. So that means it's about 1 3/4 cups of water. And I like to use water bottles because this is purified water and the water that we use for drinking is alkaline. And I don't really like to boil the alkaline water. So that's why I'm going to be using the water bottle, purified water bottle. So I'm going to go ahead and I actually end up doing about 2 cups of water because the recipe calls for 1 3/4, but I always do just a good 2 cups of water because my stove is different and that's just the way it works. So it's a little, yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring up the heat so that the pot can come to a boil, and meanwhile I'm going to add some salt in here to give the rice some flavor. And I'm also going to add just a splash, just a little splash of olive oil. And I just go ahead and put that on the cap. So it's just a little bit, very, very little. I don't really know what that does, but it gives a good flavor. So it's the rice that my husband likes. He likes to cook with this one, or he likes it when I cook this one for him, I should say. So here we go. So fragrant. It smells good. It smells good. Set that aside so it's ready to go when the water boils. Now I'm going to prep the chicken. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that real quick, and then I will record when I'm ready to marinate the chicken because I want to really focus in making sure that I'm handling the raw chicken safely, so I don't want to be touching the camera, blah blah blah. So I'll be right back. Rice water is coming to a boil, so I'm gonna go ahead and dump in the rice in here before I focus on my chicken because I don't want to focus, I don't want to do this. So now I'm gonna let that come to a boil again. So I'm gonna wash the chicken meanwhile. Lid on and lower the heat, and I'm gonna let that simmer for 20 minutes. And it's 19 minutes in the oven, so I'm just gonna set a timer here on my watch for 20 minutes. And I already washed the chicken, or rinsed the chicken, whatever the right term is. And I'm going to start slicing the chicken breast in half. Okay, so I have my pan. I went ahead and preheated the pan, and I already have the chicken diced. And when you want to grill skinless, boneless chicken, I recommend dicing it up as thin as possible so that whatever oil you use, it doesn't dry up the meat. Because if you put, let's say, a tablespoon onto your pan and then your chicken breast is really thick, it's going to dry out, it's not going to cook through, and you're going to be adding oil on oil, and then that's when it doesn't become healthy anymore. So I went ahead and preheated this pan, and now I'm going to go ahead and add my olive oil. And I like to measure the olive oil because it's easy to consume additional calories if you don't eyeball this correctly. So I just would rather that's 1 tablespoon, and I'm gonna add about 2 more teaspoons. And then towards the end of cooking, I might add that 2nd teaspoon, equaling total 2 tablespoons of olive oil, which may sound like a lot, but we are cooking a lot of chicken. And again, I want this chicken to be juicy and nutritious, so it's gonna be fine. I don't want the oil to heat up for a long time because you don't wanna burn the olive oil. That's why I preheated the pan. And I can feel just from the touch of it, like putting my hand over it, when it's hot enough to put the chicken. I guess that just comes from experience. I'm an amateur, but these are things that I learned. Here we go. Okay, and I lowered the heat to a low-medium heat. So I lowered the heat to a low-medium heat because now I'm going to add a seasoning. So the thing is, when I first started cooking, you know, food, I didn't know what seasonings to use. I didn't really know how to season any meat, but this, I tell you from experience, I believe that if you are craving, for example, a Mexican flavor, then focus on maybe 2 or 3 Mexican flavor seasonings. For example, that's oregano, Mexican oregano, cumin, ground cumin, and chili powder. Those are 3 main Mexican seasoning blends that you typically find in a seasoning blend at the grocery store, or you can just simply buy a Mexican taco seasoning and you could sprinkle that over your chicken. And if you're craving an Italian, then you either grab an Italian blend or mix thyme, basil, and garlic. You could do that, and dried parsley or fresh parsley. Today what I'm going to do is what I like to call my, I don't know what it is. It's not Italian, but it's not Mexican. It's like in between. So I'm basically going to cook the chicken. I'm gonna add the salt right now first. 2 teaspoons of salt, which may sound like a lot, but trust me, chicken breast literally has no flavor, especially the one that does not have the skin or the bone. So you really want to be generous with that salt, but only that amount, because if you go any more than that, you're gonna have salty chicken breast. Now I'm going to add some lemon juice, and then after we're going to add just a little bit of garlic. I mean, we're just talking a pinch, so let's do that. My husband is not a big fan of garlic, so I'm literally only using like this amount, if y'all can see, for this entire chicken. I've noticed that when I do this amount, he doesn't mind the garlic flavor. He has to look for it if I tell him, can you taste the garlic? But that's just what I have to do because he doesn't like garlic. I'm gonna go for an Italian seasoning. So now I'm gonna do about 1/4 teaspoon of thyme for this entire chicken because I don't want it to be overly with thyme. Don't have any fresh parsley, so I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit of fresh parsley like this, because what I'm actually gonna do is add cilantro and tomatoes towards the end of the cooking. So now I'm gonna bring up the heat and I'm gonna start cooking this. I learned in a book that adding black pepper before the food is cooked will actually cause the black pepper to taste spicier, and that's another ingredient that my husband asked me to omit from my cooking. So black pepper, I just sprinkle it on the table for myself, but typically if you love black pepper, I would recommend adding it towards the end of the cooking process. I've got a minute left in the oven and it looks like the sweet potato is already cooked. I don't want it to cook that last minute. I think it's good to come out of the oven now. So this is how we want the potatoes to look. Do you see how they look very roasted and brown and they look crispy from the outside? This is gonna taste so good. And the broccoli looks like it's good too, but sometimes it fools me because sometimes it's a little cold from the middle, but this is already from the color, it tells me that it's ready. So I'm actually just gonna go ahead and pull it out. It's only a minute till the thing starts ringing, so, or the bell's up or whatever, the oven. 50 seconds left on that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and shut off that, and I believe the rice is gonna be ready too in about a minute. So with that being said, I still need to add the lemon to the chicken. This is when I like to add it when it's sort of getting to that fully cooked stage. That way it can absorb the lemon juice and give it that good flavor. Rice is cooked and the veggies are cooked. The chicken, I'm still waiting for it to get to a more caramelization stage because I'm going to then add fresh cilantro, grape tomatoes, and onion. And not too much onion, just a little bit, just to kind of give it a little bit more of a push. And this is what makes it taste kind of like, I don't know how to describe it. Have y'all ever tasted like the primavera pasta? It's like the fresh pasta. The chicken tastes like that, but on the chicken, if that makes any sense. So, looking at the chicken right now, maybe about this much of onion. And I'm going to put it in slices, like, I'll show you how right now. You can see the pan is already getting brown from the bottom, and if we flip this chicken over, it's already getting brown, which is what we want, but it's not fully cooked. So we have to kind of mix this up. And as you can see, the olive oil's been dried out, so we're probably definitely gonna have to use that last teaspoon, which will then equal it to using a total of 2 tablespoons. Looks so good already. I'm working with one hand here. Get in there. Come on. Okay, you could just have a dash of it. Do you guys hear that? And I believe I used about 2 teaspoons of salt, so it should be fine in there. And I'm gonna use a different spoon here. Guess I'll just try not to scratch the bottom of my little pan. So I'm probably gonna add a little bit more olive oil, just so that I could get the chicken to be just a little bit more juicier. So I already used a total of 2 tablespoons. I'm gonna now add just a little bit of a half a teaspoon, and that should be good. It looks like the chicken is already done cooking. But just so that it doesn't dry out. That's the thing with chicken breast. It can dry out. So if you want to not dry it out, you have to, you know, I missed some of this chicken. I didn't really cut them as small as I should have. So everything looks absolutely delicious. Look at that. Yummy, 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 yummy. But this is how it looks like right now. It looks really good, but I'm not having any because I roasted my yam. So there's that. Now it's time to set the table, and I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the heat. This pan will keep the chicken warm, so it should be fine for the next 5 minutes or so. Dinner is served, and y'all are not gonna believe this, but I completely forgot to add olive oil, salt, and black pepper to the broccoli. So are you able to please bring me the salt from over there? Thank you. And my husband's plate has the same stuff except the yam, and then I have my yam here. So hopefully this tastes good. We're gonna do a little taste test right now. Wow, that was a fast reaction. I like it. What did you taste first? Bobby tasted the chicken and he says it's good. Let me see how it is. It's a little dry. It definitely needed just a little bit more olive oil, but that's okay. That's the fun of cooking. My potatoes, let me see how they taste. Potatoes taste really good. And then the broccoli, it's just roasted. I forgot to put salt on it, so it got cold already. husband is singing Santa Claus is coming to town. So our dinner is complete. Thank the Lord we were able to have a delicious dinner here at home. However, there was some situation with the broccoli. I do not recommend roasting frozen broccoli. I've done this many times in the past, but for some reason, the last few times, the broccoli has come back out cold in the center. So it's actually back in the oven. We didn't really get to eat it. I recommend air frying it at 400 degrees for about 30 to 33 minutes, depending on your air fryer. That's usually how I go about doing this, but I didn't want to pull my air fryer out today. And roasting it in the oven is now heating to almost an hour because it was 40 minutes total time in the oven and it was still cold. So I just wanted to hop on here to let y'all know that because I don't want you to cook frozen broccoli and then it's not even cooked. So air fry it or steam it. My husband said maybe steaming it and then roasting it if we want to get that roasting flavor, or just stick with like a fresh broccoli and roast that in the oven, which are different cooking instructions. So with that being said, that is the video for today. Thanks so much for cooking with me. I hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you haven't yet, please like this video, comment, and share. What are you looking at?
Nothing.
He's just watching me talk to y'all. Yeah. So if you haven't yet, please like this video, comment, and share. And what do they gotta do, Adrian?
Like and subscribe.
Subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all on the next video. Bye.